Before we dive into one of aviation's most mysterious tragedies, if you're interested in unexplained military encounters and Cold War mysteries, hit that subscribe button now. You won't want to miss what comes next. On January 7, 1948, the skies above Fort Knox, Kentucky became the stage for one of the most controversial UFO incidents in American history. What started as a routine afternoon at Godman Army Airfield would end with the death of a decorated World War II pilot and decades of unanswered questions. It was just after 1 p.m. when the control tower operators at Godman Field first spotted something unusual. A bright, unidentified object hung in the western sky, clearly visible in the cold winter afternoon. Within minutes, reports began flooding in from across the region. State Highway Patrol officers radioed in sightings. Military personnel from nearby installations confirmed they could see it too. Some witnesses reported seeing the object from over 150 miles away. The descriptions varied wildly. Some described it as pear-shaped or bulb-like. Others said it resembled a parachute canopy. Several witnesses reported seeing what looked like a flaming red cone. A few described it as a metallic disc reflecting sunlight. One thing remained consistent across all reports. Whatever this object was, it was massive and unlike anything they had seen before. Colonel Guy Hicks, the commanding officer at Godman Field, stood in the control tower watching the mysterious object. He had years of aviation experience and perfect vision. Whatever hung in that sky defied easy explanation. The object appeared to remain stationary for over 90 minutes, hovering somewhere to the southwest at an unknown altitude. At approximately 2:45 p.m., 4 P-51 Mustang fighters approached Godman Field. Leading the flight was Captain Thomas Mantell, a 25-year-old Kentucky Air National Guard pilot. Mantell had flown countless missions during World War II and earned the Distinguished Flying Cross for his actions during the D-Day invasion. He was an experienced, level-headed pilot with an exemplary service record. The tower contacted the flight and requested they investigate the unidentified object. 3 of the pilots broke formation. Some reported low fuel. Others cited the lack of oxygen equipment aboard their aircraft. But Captain Mantell continued climbing, pursuing the object higher and higher into the thin atmosphere. At around 3 p.m., Mantell's voice crackled over the radio. "The object is directly ahead of me and above me now, moving at about half my speed, around 180 miles per hour. It appears to be a metallic object, or possibly the sun reflecting off something metallic. This thing is tremendous in size. I'm still climbing, trying to close in for a better look." The tower operators listened intently as Mantell continued his ascent. His Mustang climbed through 15,000 feet, well beyond the safe altitude for a pilot without oxygen equipment. At 3:15 p.m., Mantell transmitted his final message. "The object is going up and forward as fast as I am, about 360 miles per hour now. I'm going to 20,000 feet, and if I can't get any closer, I'll abandon the chase." Then, silence. 3 minutes later, witnesses on the ground watched in horror as Mantell's fighter entered a deadly spiral. The aircraft plummeted from the sky, disintegrating on impact near Franklin, Kentucky. Investigators recovered his watch from the wreckage. It had stopped at exactly 3:18 p.m. The cockpit canopy remained locked, indicating Mantell had made no attempt to bail out. He had likely lost consciousness from oxygen deprivation before his aircraft began its fatal descent. But the mystery didn't end with Mantell's death. The official investigation began immediately, and the explanations offered only deepened the confusion. Initial reports suggested Mantell had been chasing Venus. Astronomers quickly dismissed this theory. Venus would not have been visible enough during afternoon daylight to appear as the massive object described by dozens of witnesses. The planet explanation satisfied no one. The Air Force then proposed a second theory. Mantell had been pursuing a skyhook balloon, a top-secret Navy weather balloon program. These massive balloons could reach 100 feet in diameter and climb to altitudes exceeding 60,000 feet. The classified nature of the program meant most military personnel, including experienced pilots like Mantell, wouldn't have known about them. Sunlight reflecting off the balloon's surface could create the bright metallic appearance witnesses described. Records showed that a skyhook balloon had been released from Clinton County Airport in Ohio that same day. According to the official report, this balloon had drifted approximately 250 miles southwest, placing it in the general vicinity of Fort Knox by mid-afternoon. But serious questions remained. Multiple witnesses, including Colonel Hicks and his staff, testified under oath that the object remained stationary for over an hour. Balloons don't hover motionless, they drift with prevailing winds. Modern weather balloons typically travel at 10 to 15 miles per hour horizontally while climbing at roughly 1,000 feet per minute. The skyhook balloons appear to have operated under similar principles. Mantell himself reported the object moving at 180 miles per hour, then accelerating to match his own speed of 360 miles per hour as it climbed. No balloon could perform such maneuvers. The report attempted to explain this by suggesting cloud movements created an illusion of speed. But Mantell was an experienced combat pilot. Would he have mistaken clouds passing in front of a stationary balloon for high-speed aerial movement? The official report also noted that Godman Field personnel had been observing an object at heading 220 degrees, placing it to the southwest. Meanwhile, Clinton County Airport sat to the northeast of Fort Knox. For the balloon to drift southwest, winds would need to be blowing from the northeast. Air traffic records from that day show winds in the region were generally light and variable, but this detail remains difficult to verify decades later. Perhaps most puzzling of all, the final report concluded that witnesses had actually seen two different objects. Military personnel at Godman Field had been staring at Venus on the horizon. Civilian witnesses south of the base, in towns like Madisonville and Elizabethtown, had been watching the skyhook balloon overhead. And Captain Mantell, according to this theory, had confused the two, first approaching Venus before his attention shifted to the balloon tens of thousands of feet above him. This explanation requires accepting that a decorated combat pilot with years of aviation experience couldn't distinguish between a distant planet and a massive object climbing directly above him at tremendous speed. Every witness who testified signed sworn statements attesting to their mental health, visual acuity, and professional competence. These weren't untrained civilians prone to panic or misidentification. These were military officers, experienced pilots, and trained observers. Yet their testimony was effectively dismissed. But the strangeness of January 7, 1948, wasn't finished. Only hours after Mantell's crash, roughly 300 miles away at Lockbourne Air Force Base in Ohio, new reports began flooding in. Another unidentified object had been spotted, and this one would behave even more bizarrely than whatever Mantell had chased to his death. At approximately 7:25 p.m., Air Force personnel at Lockbourne spotted a bright object roughly 5 miles southwest of the base. Albert Pickering, a 26-year-old control tower operator, first observed it from the front steps of the operations building. Almost simultaneously, Captain Charles McGee spotted the same object from his aircraft cockpit as he approached the runway for landing. The object appeared round or oval-shaped, glowing with an intense light that shifted colors from white to amber yellow to red. It hung motionless at approximately 3,000 feet altitude. Then, without warning, it rocketed straight up into the overcast clouds at 10,000 feet, vanishing in seconds. Pickering was soon joined by Frank Eisel, a 25-year-old airways operator. Together, they watched as the object descended back through the clouds, dropping to roughly 3,000 feet before stopping again, completely motionless. What happened next defied conventional explanation. The object began moving in a perfect horizontal circle, roughly 2 miles in diameter. It completed this 6-mile circumference in approximately 30 to 40 seconds. Both Pickering and Eisel calculated the speed at roughly 500 miles per hour. During these circular movements, they observed a comet-like tail streaming behind the object, about 5 times longer than the object's diameter. This tail appeared only during horizontal movement, disappearing during vertical climbs and descents. After completing several circular patterns, the object shot straight down toward ground level in a matter of seconds, hovered briefly, then accelerated back up to 10,000 feet and vanished into the clouds. The entire display lasted approximately 35 minutes. Both men signed sworn statements. Pickering specifically noted his years of aviation experience and stated unequivocally that the object was not a star, comet, astronomical body, balloon, flare, dirigible, or any known military or civilian aircraft. Controllers at Clinton County Airport, roughly 50 miles away, reported observing a similar object in the same direction at the same time. Yet this incident was never mentioned in the official Mantell investigation report, despite occurring on the same day, within hours of his death, less than 300 miles away. No weather balloon could perform the maneuvers these trained military observers described. No conventional aircraft of 1948 could accelerate and decelerate so rapidly, hover motionless, or execute perfect 2-mile circular patterns at 500 miles per hour. The Mantell incident became one of the first widely publicized UFO cases in American history. It occurred during the early days of the Cold War, when tensions with the Soviet Union ran high and fears of secret weapons or espionage filled the public imagination. The death of a military pilot while pursuing an unknown object sparked both fascination and concern. Over the following decades, various theories emerged. Some suggested experimental aircraft. Others proposed atmospheric phenomena or unusual weather conditions creating optical illusions. Skeptics pointed to the skyhook balloon explanation as the most rational answer. Believers in extraterrestrial visitation saw the incident as proof of alien surveillance. The truth remains elusive. Official records contain contradictions. Witness testimonies conflict with proposed explanations. Physical evidence was limited to a crashed fighter and a stopped watch. What we know with certainty is this. On January 7, 1948, dozens of credible witnesses, including experienced military personnel, observed objects in the sky that behaved in ways no known aircraft or balloon could replicate. Captain Thomas Mantell died pursuing one of these objects, and within hours, another object performed aerial maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics as understood in 1948. The skies over Kentucky that winter day held secrets that remain unexplained over 75 years later. Fort Knox and the surrounding military installations in Kentucky would see other unusual incidents in the decades that followed. Strange lights, unexplained objects, and bizarre encounters continued to be reported, though most never gained the public attention of the Mantell incident. Military personnel often hesitated to report such sightings, fearing ridicule or damage to their careers. Civilians who witnessed unexplained phenomena typically kept quiet, uncertain of what they had seen and unwilling to face skepticism. The Mantell case established a pattern that would repeat throughout the Cold War era and beyond. Unusual aerial phenomena would be observed by credible witnesses. Official investigations would propose conventional explanations that failed to account for all the reported details. Questions would remain unanswered, and the mystery would persist. Whether the objects seen over Kentucky in January 1948 were secret military projects, atmospheric phenomena, or something else entirely, we may never know. What remains undeniable is this: On January 7, 1948, dozens of credible witnesses, including experienced military personnel, observed objects in the sky that behaved in ways no known aircraft or balloon could replicate. Captain Thomas Mantell died pursuing one of these objects, and within hours, another object performed aerial maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics as understood in 1948. The skies over Kentucky that winter day held secrets that remain unexplained over 75 years later. Fort Knox and the surrounding military installations in Kentucky would see other unusual incidents in the decades that followed. Strange lights, unexplained objects, and bizarre encounters continued to be reported, though most never gained the public attention of the Mantell incident. Military personnel often hesitated to report such sightings, fearing ridicule or damage to their careers. Civilians who witnessed unexplained phenomena typically kept quiet, uncertain of what they had seen and unwilling to face skepticism. The Mantell case established a pattern that would repeat throughout the Cold War era and beyond. Unusual aerial phenomena would be observed by credible witnesses. Official investigations would propose conventional explanations that failed to account for all the reported details. Questions would remain unanswered, and the mystery would persist. Whether the objects seen over Kentucky in January 1948 were secret military projects, atmospheric phenomena, or something else entirely, we may never know. What remains undeniable is this: on January 7, 1948, dozens of credible witnesses, including experienced military personnel, observed objects in the sky that behaved in ways no known aircraft or balloon could replicate. Captain Thomas Mantell died pursuing one of these objects, and within hours, another object performed aerial maneuvers that seemed to defy the laws of physics as understood in 1948. The skies over Kentucky that winter day held secrets that remain unexplained over 75 years later. Fort Knox and the surrounding military installations in Kentucky would see other unusual incidents in the decades that followed. Strange lights, unexplained objects, and bizarre encounters continued to be reported, though most never gained the public attention of the Mantell case. Military personnel often hesitated to report such sightings, fearing ridicule or damage to their careers. Civilians who witnessed unexplained phenomena typically kept quiet, uncertain of what they had seen and unwilling to face skepticism. The Mantell case established a pattern that would repeat throughout the Cold War era and beyond. Unusual aerial phenomena would be observed by credible witnesses. Official investigations would propose conventional explanations that failed to account for all the reported details. Questions would remain unanswered, and the mystery would persist. Whether the objects seen over Kentucky in January 1948 were secret military projects, atmospheric anomalies, or something else entirely, we may never know. What remains undeniable is that something was in those skies, something that caught the attention of dozens of trained observers, something that cost Captain Thomas Mantell his life, and something that continues to defy easy explanation decades later. The skies hold their secrets well. If you found this deep dive into the Mantell incident fascinating, give this video a thumbs up. Share it with anyone interested in aviation mysteries or unexplained phenomena. Drop a comment below with your thoughts on what Captain Mantell might have encountered that day. And if you want more historical mysteries and military stories that challenge our understanding, subscribe and hit that notification bell. New content exploring the unexplained corners of military history drops regularly. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the most compelling mysteries are the ones that remain unsolved.